Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the Earthly Mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Prayer to the Most High blesses this lesson this evening. Gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth. So we get a much better understanding of things that are soon to come on the earth. Checking out this guy's video this morning, and he's just bringing out so much information about how this society and this system is busted. It's all over. It's done. And you can easily see it also with politics. You know, Trump and even Biden, none of these guys, they can't run on a robust economy or, happy days will be here again, or that they're here again. Said Most High has taken away those happy days. All they can do right now is, Trump is trying to stoke the fears of the nation and pretty much say, if Biden gets in, it's going to get really bad. Don't look at the fact that while I'm in, it's absolutely horrible. But if he gets in, it's really going to get bad. It's just stoking the fears of the Gentiles. They're always in fear because deep down inside, they know that they have an ass whooping coming from the Most High. So even when they're on top, even when they're enjoying their blessing, they still have that fear. And that fear, is expressed by the death and destruction of our people on a daily basis and them just ignoring what they're doing because they fear the retribution that the Most High is going to bring to the rest of the world. I was looking at how Trump was in Wisconsin today, and he did not even mention Jacob Blake's name the entire time. Like I said, that just shows you the disrespect that they don't even go out of their way to acknowledge the wrongdoings that have been perpetrated on our people. That's why as we talk to people all the time, and they just pretty much, love, love, love. You need to forgive. You need to forgive. But then it was amazing to sit there and, well, not really. I mean, it's at this point, it's pretty much, expected how Trump tried to defend the 17-year-old who had the long gun. And for sure, I guess he was using self-defense. But that just shows you how these things are right now. And trust me, if Biden was to be elected, nothing's going to change. Nothing ever does, because this is the way that the system is set up. They put puppets in front of us, and then they keep killing us, and they just skip over that. Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. But your guys' response is the horrible part of all this. But that's okay, because now, like I said, the Most High is now stripping you. Stripping the Gentiles, stripping the Edomites of their power. And he's doing it very quickly. And this guy right here, let's see here. Full Spectrum Survival. I want you guys to see his channel if you guys want to check it out. He has good information. Full Spectrum Survival. Okay, that's his channel if you guys want to check it out. I want to make sure I give him credit because he did the research and he's bringing us information, and it's just amazing to see the destruction that the Most High is bringing, and the fact that like it was talked about in the last few videos, man wants to make it seem as if they are still in control. But when you look at these numbers and the way he breaks it down, we don't have much time left before utter chaos is spilled out in the streets. So let's get into this.
Great suffering is coming, but you still have time to get ready. Good morning, everyone. You're watching today's news that you need to know. It is after 9 a.m. on Tuesday, September 1st. I'm your host, Full Spectrum Survival, and today we're going to be covering nations that are closing their borders as they each prepare for war and getting ready for millions of hungry, desperate, and homeless people to take their needs. when they have to. Militaries around our world are preparing the nations for which they stand by assisting in the closing of borders, the tightening of control mechanisms, and getting the armed forces ready for the wars that are coming. Nations around the world are in the process of, or already have closed their borders under the recognition of what they see as a biological threat. But that threat alone is not where this ends. As countries prepare for conflict, they work to get their house and their borders in order. They strong-arm the quelling of anti-government malcontent within the nation, and they work to prepare the populace through the use of media outreach and uniform visibility to see the military on the streets of those nations and to prepare the people for a conflict with a suspected enemy. Countries around our planet right now are doing just that. They are enhancing their plans to get their citizens and their militaries ready. They're getting ready for what is about to happen. There are cycles of events that take place.
Okay, so check out these cycles of events that take place. This is really important.
From economic crisis events to biological threats, social disruption, and earth disasters. Every cycle of these events can only positively be observed after the cycle completes. But if we look back in history, a few events always move together. This series of events is almost always a biological threat in combination with an economic collapse and a loss of social control within a country. The United States of America, the entire Western world, and all nations of this earth are experiencing this at this very moment in time.
That's the same thing that happened, I'm sure, with our people. You know, when the Spanish got over here, they brought that biological threat. Then, you know, a social breakdown, military, you know. I said all those things were what was brought to these nations, but the Europeans are really good at trying to hide all that information. They're really good at trying to hide all the things that they did when they brought that biological weapons over here, which then destroyed, you know, the social structure of the nation. And the Most High is doing the same thing again. He swept us off of our own lands that way, and now he's looking to do. He's using the same tactics. The Most High is using the same tactics he used against us, against these other nations.
Non-governmental organizations warn that up to 200 million people face starvation in 2020 and 2021. Crop loss, complete breakdowns in the supply chain, unemployment, and an inability for the hungry to find or grow their food continues to make the disaster of 2020 a crisis that will live on in the hearts and minds of men and women for generations.
Now, that's also what happened when the Spaniards got here. Our people were so sick that they could not tend the fields. Crop loss. And then they couldn't feed their families. Starvation. And then many actually went and just pretty much hand themselves over to the Spaniards, you know, in order to get food. But these are many things that are hidden in the books, you know, that the Most High, that these other nations have hidden. But now it's happening again to the Gentiles. But what they're trying to do is hide all that, hide that fact of the dire situation that has befallen them by the hands of the Most High.
The real danger, according to military strategists, is that the tension that is being felt, the tension that is visible in open threats of nuclear and kinetic war between China and India, China and the United States, Russia and the United States, and other nations, are threats that sit behind a very thin veil of security.
Now, the warfare, like I talked about before, you know, that's going to happen, especially when they recognize who we are as a people. So it pretty much is in their own self-interest to ignore who we are. Because once that is out, and once, you know, that Psalms 83 agreement is over, then they begin to fight with each other and destroy each other, and World War III begins. So that's why you start to see why, you know, how Trump and all these other people ignore our plight. Don't make mention of the things they're doing to our people. Because to make mention of that, to actually talk about the 400 years for reals, the 400 years of slavery, to talk about who those people really are, will then bring utter destruction to the rest of the world.
What will happen is that as these powerful nations deteriorate in their ability to control their people,
a lot of us want to get rid of intra-abdominal fat, what we call the deep fat. The biggest issue, you could argue, is obesity. The greater causes of death are things that we can actually control. And again,
as is being seen right now in the United States of America with weekly anti-government and anti-authority protests, in Belarus with calls for the removal of the president, and in other nations.
They're talking about all the protests, and I've been hearing people actually talking about how they're sick and tired of these protests, and they're talking about how in these protesters are talking about how, of course, this is white people. There's actually Paul Begley on one of his videos. I happen to just kind of be glancing through. He was talking about how this is not the America that he grew up with, and people talking about how this country is racist, and it's and at its core, it's racist. He's like, I don't believe that, and that's the thing. A lot of these people, they don't want to admit it. Just like Trump today was saying that the United States is not inherently racist. It does not have systematic racism, and it's like I said before, they have to deny all this. They have to deny that they set the game up against us from jump. They have to pretty much ignore that, or pretty much just say it's not true. Deny all the way to the end. And that's exactly what they're doing. Even though we can easily see the two just us systems that are actually in play. But see, the Most High is dealing out judgment at the same time. And what this guy keeps talking about right here, you're going to see the judgment it's already here and just waiting for that shoe to drop.
The nations affected will become increasingly desperate. We are adding on to this desperation with a near daily loss of billions of dollars in large corporate funds. This, in turn, will quickly empty the coffers of the elite and the powerful, those who stand to gain riches through taxation. And this loss of wealth will secure another act of desperation. We have talked about this hundreds of times here, and you can look up the history for yourself. As soon as a nation loses its power and its wealth, it goes to war. Alternatively, if a nation remains in power and wealth, but the people of that nation lose their wealth and security, the nation will move towards civil war. We are facing all of this right now.
Did you hear that? This nation right now is facing both. They're facing the prospects of war with other countries and civil war. This is prophetic. See, this is what, when you only read one book, you don't understand. Like, it's not either or. It's not either the United States is utterly destroyed and then World War III begins. This guy's talking about both happening at the same time. The raising up of the Most High's chosen people in our lands. That would be the Civil War. Then them fighting with each other. That would be World War III. Numbers 35 and 33 discusses how the only way to cleanse the lands of the Most High, the lands the Most High has given his people, is through what? Through the blood of the people that spilled our blood. That's what the Bible says. It doesn't say that he's going to just spill it by just bringing in nukes and just killing absolutely everybody. But this guy's talking about two things happening simultaneously here in America: Civil War and World War III. Happening maybe even at the same time. But that goes with what the Most High showed us. That goes with what the Holy Spirit has shown us. The raising up of her people, the dove returning to the Americas, the Holy Spirit returning to the Americas, giving us back our knowledge and understanding. She's been preparing us for this day. so that we can look at the things that are happening and have understanding as to what's going on, while the rest of the world is seeing everything collapsing around them and they have absolutely no idea. They're still having their they still believe in Esau's system. I was walking by a park today, and this evening actually, and I'm looking at these travel ball softball girls practicing. I'm looking at these coaches practicing, wanting that money. I've been seeing people from that I know from travel ball, basketball, still practicing. Look at these people getting ready to go to college, still practicing, still having hope in the Edomite system. Do you guys really think do you look around at what's happening to you? Do you really think that there's going to be college, basketball, softball, or high school, seasons, sports? Do you have faith in Esau's system that he's going to be able to pull himself out of this, this pit that he has dug for himself? But see, these are most of the ones that see the emperor with no clothes, and they're his subjects, and they just go along with him. They see that the future is very bleak, but they're going to go ahead and continue with him, even though, because they've been down with him the whole time, and they don't know any better. The ones that are, the Most High is opening up their eyes to and cleaving to the Most High and cleaving to his people, those will be the only ones that the Most High is going to be saving. That's what he's talked about. That's why he says, come out of her, my people. As you can see, the vast majority of the world is still hanging on to this Babylonian system. Let's continue.
The people of each one of these nations are desperate. There are lines of cars waiting for a week's worth of food at food banks that stretch for miles. Families waiting 8 to 10 hours for a sack of food that they hope will last them a week, and a few pounds of fresh vegetables or fruit that might, if they're lucky, have 2 to 3 days left before the vegetables or the fruit sours. The people in large are becoming desperate. What is about to happen comes in waves. The first wave started in 2019 as corporate finances took a hit and the cracks of the economy started becoming visible to the average person. On October 22nd of last year, 2019, we discussed right here the coming financial collapse, and that a catalyst was all that was needed to set the entire world's economy into freefall. Then we saw a biological threat, and the fear over what this would mean acted as that catalyst. Prior to this threat, corporations were making money, but they were barely able to stay solvent. Taking a look at restaurants as just one example. Prior to 2020, if a restaurant did not run at full capacity, they did not make enough money to pay their employees, purchase food, advertise to get new business, or keep the lights on. In short, if the seats were not full 100% of the expected times, they lost money. All it took was a hiccup in the commerce that became a way of life to send tens of thousands of businesses into a free-fall economic crisis and cause corporations to lay off millions of people. Each event furthering the economic collapse, each event making any chance of a recovery that much more unrealistic.
They knew this. They knew how fragile the economy was, and they knew that 2020 was going to be the end. It's on their money. It's on their $20 bill. Flip it upside down. You'll see the woman with a mask on her face. They knew that everything was, hanging by a string, and that this biological event would be the end. And the vast majority of these people are still holding on to Esau and holding on to his economy.
Where we stand today, up to 50 million Americans are thought to have applied for unemployment in the last 16 to 24 weeks. That's 16% of America's population, but that gets worse. There are 330 million Americans in the USA, and only half of those people are employable. The rest are disabled or not of age. 50 million Americans applying for unemployment out of 155 million employable adults is 30% of the.
Don't start a business. Buy an existing business. You don't have to be a rich investor with bags full of cash to buy an existing business. As a matter of fact,
working age population seeking unemployment just in 2020. A variety of other industries are announcing up to 100,000 layoffs. HSBC, 35,000 jobs. AT&T, 3,400 jobs, and that's just the beginning. Chevron, the second largest oil producer in the US, 15% of its entire global workforce is gone. They just keep getting worse. There's no end in sight. The jobs that have recovered and the employment figures that have bounced back are rehirings for furloughed positions. It's not new growth in the market. This rehiring phase is not lasting, and new reports just last week indicated that up to 30% of all rehires are already losing their jobs as business places don't have the kind of profits that can keep them on board.
Like we said, like we've been telling them, no hope. Remove yourself from Babylon. I said that's what's been going on right now. It's just showing you that how bad things are. But again, what did it say? The men here, the wicked, want to make it seem as if things are okay and that they are still in control. As they they boost the stock market with manipulation. There's not, like I said, there's nothing good. There's no good news, so there's no reason why the stock market should be going up. Because this guy's breaking it down with all this information, and there's more information coming right now how bad things are. 50 million people have lost their jobs, almost 30%. Okay, of the employable population, and many people are now not getting their unemployment benefits. He's going to talk about that as well. Let's continue. This is going to get real good right here.
Imagine what is about to happen. 30 million people stand today without a job, without a way to pay their rent, without a way to feed their children. Right now, they are not rioting in the streets against the entire system because they have the security of this month's food and housing from unemployment. Many on unemployment are so far behind on their mortgage payment or on their rental agreement that they will never be able to catch up. As soon as eviction stops are canceled, and they are being canceled right now, you will have 30 million people on the streets of America homeless, without a way to make ends meet, looking at all of the other people, because remember, 30% without a job means 60% with a job. When that resentment comes on in full force, that there are others not suffering the same catastrophe, the same crisis that they are, a great number of them will seek retribution through desperation.
Okay, so stop right there. Okay. That is absolutely huge right there. The contention between the 30% that don't have anything and the 60% that still have a job and are still able to go ahead and live their lives is what's going to definitely be part of this civil war. Now, see, when it was us, it was the Hebrews and the chosen people who were at the bottom and they were suffering. No one cared. Just like when we get shot, no one cares. But see, now the Most High is doing it to you. Now the Most High is taking your dainties away. And now 60% of the people will still be cool, still have money. While, 30%, 30 million plus people. It's more than just that, the 30 million, I said. So, because also the kids, the kids aren't going to be able to eat. No one wants to see people suffer. But we want you to see how we've suffered. You have been able to, the vast majority of you guys have been able to live your lives, watch us be at the bottom, watch us be destroyed, watch how the system has been unfair. But you were part of that 60% that things are good for you and you didn't care. Now the Most High is going out of his way to make you understand and see how it was for us. And now all of a sudden, that's why you hear all these people like, oh, this system is horrible. Oh, I didn't realize that you guys were going through this for 400 years. I'm sorry. Most High is still going to make you go through it. So like I said, this is huge. The 30, it's more than 30 million. I said, you got a lot of children. You got a lot of people that are disabled. You got a lot of people that are older. They're going to be dependent upon Social Security. Dependent upon retirements that aren't going to be able to take care of them. You're going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be very angry in the streets because the system that Esau has set up, the Most High is now tearing down and is now failing them.
Right now, as you watch this, there are predators that have lists of places that they will get their food and their supplies from. In some cases, get their money from. Millions of dollars worth of cargo container thefts are happening right now as we speak. Just last week, we reported that cargo thefts were up 56%, with the average theft reining in $200,000 worth of supplies. Many of these thefts are happening overnight. Some of them are happening in broad daylight. Weapons are involved. As soon as this desperation, what has led individuals to seek out the risk versus reward of taking a cargo container or a supply transport, reaches the masses, every city is in trouble. The looting and rioting that is taking place right now is merely a fraction of what we will see. And every individual, every household needs to be prepared. It's not just happening in the United States. India's economy shrank at the quickest pace that has ever been seen on record in just the second quarter.
Like I've told people for a very long time, that it's not just America. It's all the nations that have been confederate against us. All the nations that have not followed the ways of the Most High. All the nations that have ignored our plight. They all do it. They've all been ignoring everything. If you're still calling us black, and you're not talking about how we're the chosen people of the Most High, you're still following that Psalms 83. You're still calling us by bywords. You're still not admitting the truth. The Most High wants all the truth, not just the one, not just a little bit of truth that you guys want to admit to. I said this slowdown and destruction is going to be worldwide.
The crisis there decimated consumer spending, investment. Reports show that the economy shrank 24% in the 3 months ending in June. That's compared with the previous year. That's according to official statistics that were released yesterday. You have to remember that India is the world's fifth largest economy with 1.4 billion people. A 24% drop in the economy is deadly. Economists claim that the contraction is worse than what was expected, and the fallout will be felt in the nation for generations. Investment collapsed 47%. Household consumption contracted by 27%. That's according to Capital Economics.
How does this get better? It won't. So all you people who are still following, this system and thinking that, hey, this is just going to blow over and things are going to get better next year, 2 years, 3 years. See, you're only looking at the superficial level. You're not looking at the deep-seated reason as to why this is happening. This is happening because of the things that you guys have done to the Most High's chosen people, and you've just ignored it. And you're still ignoring it. If you're going to look at what happened with Jacob Blake, and then try to excuse what the cop did by shooting him 7 times in the back, and then make excuses for a 17-year-old everything that dude did was wrong, illegal, and make excuses for him, that shows you what team you're playing for. And that shows you exactly why the Most High is coming to destroy your system.
The continued rapid spread of the crisis will dampen domestic demand. What's more underwhelming, they say, fiscal response to the crisis will guarantee a legacy of higher unemployment, failures in the corporate sector, and an impaired banking sector that will weigh heavily on investment and heavily on consumption. Turkey's economy, said to have collapsed on itself by 10%, a move that has led civilians within Turkey, investment agencies in Turkey, to move their money toward physical metals as every nation in our world prepares for what is coming.
Yes, they're leaving the dollar. Because in a couple of videos, what did they say? That they're going to try to resurrect their economies, but without the United States. They have their safe places outside of the United States. So they already know about the Civil War. They already know that, I said this Civil War is brought on by the Most High. And the Most High has a Civil War, and his Civil War is for definitely cleansing the land. That's why they've closed the borders and made it very difficult to leave the United States, because the Most High has his hands in what is happening now. And just like, when we were destroyed and swept off the land, he said the Most High has promised to do the same to these nations.
You still have time. Great suffering is coming, but you still have time to get ready. Make sure that you have a bare minimum of 6 weeks worth of food. That's easy to do on a humble budget. $40 worth of rice.
Okay, we'll stop on that, because, they're, instead of warning, actually get on their knees and asking the Most High for forgiveness and accepting the truth. These guys are still worried about trying to, get their 6 weeks of food, trying to get their weapons together and everything else. Because, again, their faith is in what? The system. Their faith is in Esau and his system. They still think they're going to be able to wait things out. There's no waiting out the Most High's judgment. Just like when he sent the destroyer in Egypt, people thought they were going to be waiting things out in their homes while they were sleeping overnight. They thought they were going to be able to wake up the next morning and kill the firstborn of the Most High's children, just like they did in Egypt. You see, when the Most High says that's it, no matter how much, how many supplies you have, weapons you have, the Most High will come and get you. When your spirit and your soul is time for you to go, and meet the Most High, I said your food isn't going to help you. Your weapons isn't going to help you. Your bunker, your bug out locations, none of that stuff's going to help you. You must have faith in the Most High. But most of these people, of course, they don't have faith. But let's hear a little bit more.
Buys you 60,000 calories. You don't have to buy it all at once. Put the rice into 5-gallon buckets and eat from it. When you go through a bucket, buy more. Purchase canned goods. Get as many as you can afford to over time. Get over-the-counter medication, even for ailments that you don't have. Imagine not having an anti-diarrheal if a waterborne disease makes its way into your group or your family during a time of extreme social danger. Think about how to communicate with neighbors, friends, and family. Will you set up a system so that you get alerted if someone comes onto your property?
So like I said, they think they're going to be just hanging out in their properties. Who knows? Most High might move us to different areas, different locations in order to protect us. We might, when we just got to be ready to move when the Most High tells us it's time to move. Or we might just be where we're at and people around us. What does it say? 1,000 on your left-hand side, 10,000 on your right. I said, but nothing's going to happen to you. Just imagine if there's 11,000 people dying around you. They're leaving all their food. They're leaving all their weapons. They're leaving all their bug out locations. They're leaving their vehicles for the ones who are being protected. And what did it say? That after the 400 years, the Most High's people will be moving with much wealth. Well, if the vast majority of people around us are passing away, the Most High's taking them away, what's left? All their wealth. So all things work out for the Most High. All things work out for good. And the prophecies that are written in the Bible, written all over the place, they're going to be fulfilled. When these prophecies that are written in the other books, they're being fulfilled. Just because people have chosen not to read them doesn't mean that these prophecies aren't being fulfilled. Trust me, they are. The sweeping off of the land, that is being moved, and that's being, the Most High is working to move that. The Most High in Jacob chapter 5 in the Book of Mormon, when it talks about how as we grow, the other nations, are diminished. Is that not happening right now? Are we not growing? Do you not see the other nations being diminished? As these other nations are going, to set up their places to ride these things out. Who are they really setting up, all of these all their supplies for? Are they really, is the Most High going to let them, you really think the Most High is going to let them sit there and just ride everything out? See, when they don't have faith in the Most High, they have faith in the system. So they think that because they have guns, weapons, food, that everything's just going to work out, for them. Yes, while you had your blessing, things did work out for you. But if you haven't noticed right now, your blessing has been taken away. And if you're being removed from the head to the tail, then that means that we're being moved from the tail to the head. Just like it talked about in Jacob 5 in the Bible. I'm sorry, in the Book of Mormon. All praise is to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who was wisdom, who was Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom, family.